Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor Live. If you are watching as a Patreon patron and or you're watching as a YouTube subscriber, you're getting this real time. If you have managed to link your Amazon Prime account and your Twitch Prime account, you're also getting this live. If you aren't a subscriber, but you want to help support the show, you can absolutely just link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. Costs you nothing. You're sticking it to Amazon. You've already paid for that, so they just allow you to link some of your subscriptions. Twitch Prime is one of them. So do it, and we will get paid, and Shane can afford to keep doing this. Otherwise, if you don't have any money and you just can't stand this and you're watching this just so you can troll me later, troll me on Twitter at Michael Pachter or on Blue Sky at Michael Pachter. All right, so this Pachter Factor Live, we're going to talk about the Game Awards. And what were the big takeaways? What do I think of the show? Kind of where are we going with that? Realistically, I think that, the dozen or so awards that anybody really cares about probably should take a total of about 25, 30 minutes. I mean, you can do, 3-minute acceptance speech, maybe 5 minutes max, with a 2-minute introduction and the acceptance speech. So that should take an hour, and the show dragged. It just went on and on and on. Now, I don't want to mock Geoff Keighley because this is his baby. He invented this. The business model for the show is ad support, but instead of being broadcast television, where you get an ad, every 10 or 12 minutes, and you get a couple of ads, Geoff is required to kind of intersperse reveal videos or game trailers that he gets paid for. And so, there are reveals, there are existing game trailers, and I'd say, of the roughly 3-hour show, we probably had an hour of trailers, maybe more. I found that tedious, and I understand that's how he gets paid, so I'm not sure that there's a real fix for it. But I think, what I would probably do is have less focus on things like games for impact or audio design, because people don't even know what that means, nor do they actually really care. And I'd probably stick with, game of the year and best mobile game and best voice acting, things that people can relate to because they actually played the game. I'm kind of torn on esports player. I think you definitely want to at least acknowledge that those people are real. But when you start getting into things like, best narrative or best, most anticipated game, what a surprise, Grand Theft Auto. I don't think you need all that. So I think you could streamline the number of awards. I'd say spend a little bit more time on the actual, big things that matter. And, I think probably, and I could personally do without all the music. Like, I think that the orchestra, however fun the people in the audience find it, it's like playing game music means nothing to me if I didn't play the game. Like, I just could care less. My bias is you can maybe make this a 2-hour show and it would captivate people and capture their attention. And, I think you could do 30 minutes of trailers before and 30 minutes of trailers after, but I just think forcing us all to sit through was too much. As far as the content, I think that this was both a really good year for games and a really bad year for games. When you see a game like Balatro nominated for Game of the Year, I bought it, I play it. It took me about a week to beat it before I figured out how to organize my booster cards. And now my new mission is I got to beat 7.2 million points. I keep getting stuck after 5 million, and I can't beat the 7.2 million level. Beating 100,000 is a piece of cake. And so I don't think that game has tremendous replayability. I literally probably have been playing it for about 3 weeks and not every day. Not Game of the Year, not even close. Astro, absolutely. Wukong, definitely not. Okay. And I think that part of the problem with the show is that the money largely has been coming from, Japanese publishers, so Atlas and Sega, and Namco, and you're getting reveals on games that a smaller niche in the audience cares about. So yes, are there fanboys who absolutely love Final Fantasy? Sure. And you could say this about any game. Is it Onimusha? You could say this about any game, that there's always going to be 1 million or 2 million or 5 million fans. But there's 20 million people watching this show. And I think what people really care about is the next big game. So Intergalactic, yes, that's big and people care. But I would like to see, a Grand Theft Auto reveal. And, notwithstanding that Geoff probably, can't get the Rockstar guys to pay, he should have offered them as much time as they wanted and made this kind of the showcase for the next Grand Theft Auto trailer, which, oh, by the way, we haven't gotten one in a year. So most anticipated game, what a perfect slot to have the next trailer, and they didn't do it. And again, I don't know why. I will say the thing I love about the show is I get to talk to people. I normally see people at GDC. I used to see them at E3. This has kind of become the replacement for E3 as far as industry folks showing up. So it's really good to catch up with a lot of people. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend who is a voice actor and who just answered a casting call for Grand Theft Auto 6. Casting call for Grand Theft Auto 6 for voice work means they're in the final stages of making that game. So that's the kind of stuff that I find out when I go to these events and get to see people that I haven't seen in a while. I got to sit down with the Netflix folks, lots of stuff going on Netflix. So I find the whole experience pretty good. But just so you know how people look at this show, where was the Battlefield announcement? It's widely expected Battlefield's coming next year, and yet I forgot what it's called, Split Decision, Split Infinitive, Split something. You had the Joseph Ferris game, Hazelight game, which will be great, but not Battlefield big. So I think we really would benefit if people would use the Game Awards to announce everything that they announced at E3. I think it might be too soon for somebody like Nintendo to announce a new Switch, because they don't want to kill Christmas sales. And if you know the Switch 2 is coming and you're, Tommy's grandma, you're not buying Tommy a Switch 1. You're going to wait another year. So I get that. If I were Geoff, I actually probably would move the Game Awards to like the second week in January, get past Christmas, get in front of GDC, and have this show. All the games have been out. Everybody has a chance to play them. You don't have games. I think a couple of years ago, Callisto Protocol came out, maybe it was last year, but like on December 3rd, and the Game Awards is December 5th. How did anybody get a chance to play it and vote on it? So it didn't do very well. But anyway, I think that launching this before Christmas probably limits big announcements where the publishers and the manufacturers, console manufacturers, don't want to screw up a holiday. But, again, let's talk at GDC, because I think we'll get a new Switch announced by then. And again, we didn't see any giant stuff coming from Nintendo, but there's a new title for the Switch too. I would expect it's Mario Kart 9, so I'd like to see stuff like that at the Game Awards. Bowser was there, so the Nintendo crew was there. They absolutely could have done something big, but I guess we got to wait until next year. So that's my take. I think Astrobot was probably the right choice for Game of the Year. It really was a good game. They just did a phenomenal job. Sony hasn't yet gotten its mojo back on cadence of new releases, but that's a very powerful, good new release. And the thing I think Sony continues to screw up is they're just not cutting price on consoles. They keep firing everybody who actually knows what they're doing. So we saw Shu Yoshida, he's retiring, but still. And Connie Booth left 6 months ago. I ran into her. She's working for EA, which is awesome. So David Jaffe, if you're watching, Connie Booth, your fave, is working for EA. But I think that it's a good chance to catch up. That's the biggest benefit for me. The emphasis on the smaller games is kind of lame, but if you love any one of those, you got to watch the reveal with 20 million of your closest friends who are watching the Game Awards. You know, I didn't see the stats on how many people were watching, but it ends up being something that big. Again, I think, you know, there were 20 games there that each delighted 1 million people, and that's the problem. So the, you know, those of us in the 19 million for most of those games just didn't care. So I don't find, you know, the game reveals that exciting. I think Geoff would do better if he could have just landed Grand Theft Auto. He would have gotten far more of an audience, and it would have driven, you know, audience viewership in the future, because people would have said, oh, what's the next big reveal? I think he should really aspire to get a giant reveal. Like, so Intergalactic, yes, but, you know, Mario Kart 9 should have been revealed there. And I think he, you know, I think he probably could get that in the future. He's just going to have to figure out how to lure those advertisers and get them to either pony up the cash or offer them something that's so compelling that they just have to do it because they get the giant audience. Anyway, that's my take. I'm going to stick to it. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. You are seeing this before Christmas, I hope. If you're a Patreon patron, you are for sure. Thanks again for joining. We will see you the next time on Pachter Factor.